A song for a friend, my guitar for a wife. This loneliness don't leave me, I am feeling blue. Now I know why the cage bird sings. Yes, I know why that cage bird sings. Living on handouts on the mercy of faith. I run to the mountains, all I see is sand. All I know why that cage bird sings. Oh, I know why that cage bird sings. I am far from home, Lord, I feel so lost. I am bruised and broken, I'm cursed with a song. I only see the light through the window. I keep running in circles. Lord, I wanna be free. I keep chasing after shadows. I am falling, I am burning. I keep running in circles. Oh, I wanna be free. I keep chasing after shadows. I am falling, I am burning. Now I know why that cage bird sings. Yes, I know why that cage bird sings. Drink some liquid to conceal my pain. I sing for the master and I dance for his fun. Oh, I know why that cage bird sings. Yes, I know why that cage bird sings. I am far from home, Lord, I feel so lost. I am bruised and broken, I'm cursed with a song. I only see the light through the window. I keep running in circles. Lord, I wanna be free. I keep chasing after shadows. I am falling, I am burning. Oh, I know why that cage bird sings. Yes, I know why that cage bird sings. Thank you. Mama, take these chains off me. I don't need them anymore. It's getting dark to see. Feels like I'm knocking on heaven's door. So I'm not knocking on heaven's door. heaven's door. So I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door. Mama, take these chains off me. I don't need them anymore. It's getting dark to see now. Feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door. So I'm knocking on heaven's door. I'm knocking on heaven's door. Thank you. I'll just finish off with a quick one, and hope you guys like it. How you guys been? That's a bit better. One more time. Oh, come on, make me feel good. I already feel bad myself. Make me feel good. One more time. That is better. I want you to keep that energy, though, through the whole afternoon, guys. Is that okay? Make Gabby's job easy. As soon as she stands up and holds the mic, just shout. Is that okay? One more rehearsal? Excellent, then. Okay, then. Finish it off there. Thank you very much, guys. One more time.
So that was Stanley Music, a Zimbabwean Stoke-on-Trent-based singer-songwriter. And I am Gabriella Gay. Welcome to the first live-streamed poetry party. This is brought to you by Stoke Creates and the team behind Honeybacks Live. Woo! So we're here to celebrate poetry and performance. We're here in B-Arts Central Space in Stoke-on-Trent, and we've got some absolutely fantastic poets. We really want to celebrate the diverse range of voices that we have here in Staffordshire. We've got Nick Degg. We've got Adrian Mackenzie. We've got Diary of a Poet. We've got JKT. We've got GKT. We've got Rob Boy Gregory and Gracie B. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start off our party with Nick Degg. And Nick Degg is a Potteries multiple slam-winning former punk poet. Fresh from his Alphabet tour, we've seen him share poems about crisps, socialism, allotments, bingo callers, and oatcakes. Described as a poet who crafts words with the dexterity of a sausage knotter. And a poet who takes an audience on a journey into a world that smells like an old cobbler's shop. We can't wait to hear what he shares today. Let's welcome up Nick!
Thank you, everybody. Now, recently, when it was coming up to World Poetry Day last year, the BBC got in touch with me. They must have started with a great big list and got down to about there. And they said, Nick, you're a poet. Can you write a poem about what poetry is? So I said, of course I can. And I wrote this, and it's a series of answers to the question about what poetry is. Poetry is a bacon butty when nothing else will do. Poetry is a cup of tea when you're gasping for a brew. Poetry is fresh and clean like a newly ironed shirt. Poetry is a vacuum cleaner sucking up the dirt. Poetry is a wheelbarrow when you need to move some rubble. Poetry is a telescope. Poetry is the Hubble. Poetry is an overcoat. Poetry is a shoe. Poetry is someone's lips saying, I love you. Poetry is a vehicle, the words are the fuel. It can take you up to space or even back to school. Poetry is read by cows wearing scarves of silk. Poetry is unconventional. Sometimes it doesn't rhyme. Poetry is a handshake or a hug from a friend. Poetry is conversations you hope will never end. Poetry is about honesty and very rarely doubt. Poetry is an angler's smile when he's caught a 10-pound trout. Poetry uses metaphors to get the point across. And poetry is both heads and tails, so it always wins the toss. Poetry is your holiday train waiting at the station. And poetry can be anything if you use your imagination. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. All those things about poetry, absolutely fantastic. So, next in our poetry party, we are going to welcome to the stage Adrian Mackenzie. And Adrian Mackenzie is a spoken word artist from Stoke-on-Trent, a self-described late bloomer. His poetry is reflective and provocative in its exploration of social and personal themes such as identity, relationships, and power. Adrian has actually published two collections and captivated a range of audiences around the UK. So let's welcome up Adrian.
This is not a poem. Here are some words for your eyes and ears. Here is how social media appears after years. Checking my friends list. Looking at the names I've seen but don't remember. Seeing no messages between us. Seeing nothing beyond well wishes on your birthdays for the last few years on your wall. Maybe there was a like after the first hi, but that's all. There's no tags we can travel with, no baggage for collection, and on reflection, that could be a good thing. You live in sync with the music without the algorithm. Maybe you're producing a fruitful orchestra that you share with both geography and time. Maybe these words are a frame for what's missing in mine. This is not a poem. These are words that met along the way and smiled at each other for a season. Maybe we met in an office or a class or even over a drink. Maybe I'd love to hear from you. Maybe our clique wasn't intended to be a clique. I mean, are we really friends anyway? Are we thumb-tapping numbed actors? Are we non-binary badges of pride in batteries of capitalist hoodoo? Are we branded by our boohoo and soul glue to decorate our echo chambers? Age does something to you. So does the platform. When you're 5 or 10 years deep and some are 6 feet under, you wonder what it's all for. You catch up. You repeat the program when you're bored. They will all be archived. Is your book to be taken off my shelf? Would you notice? Maybe I don't like the silence. Maybe you're the I kind of wanting my emojis. Maybe the real postal strike is not hearts on quotes. Maybe the calling an election is not thumbs up votes and few counts. I mean, if we canvass our insecurities, we only draw doubts. Maybe I miss you. Maybe we misused our moment and the greatest trophy we could say we took a photo of as expressive human beings was just mutual respect. Maybe the best vaccine is what we inject for connection, and some of us just have different providers. Does me reading your life make me a business insider? They say we had more connection when phones were wired. The same people say music has lost its purpose and its value, even though we've handed greater access. But since we're wireless now, are we contactless and seeking to pull cards instead of being banked on for balance? If we suddenly lost power, would we lose power or just our minds? Is this the grand design to know but not really? I mean, do your friends want your address so they can really see you? Maybe these words look alike, the way we look and like for the boxes we thumb. Maybe this is your heart seeing itself and a hello or a goodbye for some. Ultimately, this is not a poem.
Oh yeah, keep the claps going. Hello to those at home, and we've got our fantastic audience here. Next up, we're going to welcome Diary of a Poet. So Wolverhampton-based Diary of a Poet writes like she is sharing an extract from her personal diary in poetic form. Having been encouraged by seeing others express themselves using the art of words, she shares her poems in the hope of inspiring others. We welcome up Diary of a Poet!
Good afternoon, everyone. This piece is entitled Friends. I have 7 friends that I see 7 days of the week. And these 7 friends are my friends when I'm weak. Even at my age, my mom still complains about the friends that I keep. She says that they're bad influences. But that's just normal for any parent to think. See, she doesn't realize how much they are there for me. See, first I met Rosie, and like her name suggests, she is really sweet, quite quiet, discreet. But with her, it's always a good time. It's always a good vibe, like when I'm spending time with Mally. With Mally, we always listen to music, just the 2 of us. And we get to dancing and singing, and it's just always so much fun. That's why he's one of my favorites. And he introduced me to Henny and Jack. But they're too much for me on my own, so every time we meet up, I have to call Coke. And the 3 of us get to having these discussions, and we talk about serious topics, and I really feel like they listen to what I have to say. I feel like they're there for me any time of the day. But they introduced me to Morgan, who we nicknamed the Captain. Because Morgan captures my joy and pain all in one, my heartbreak dances in the midst of fun. And everything was okay until she introduced me to her uncle, Ray. And Ray was all right, but he would always bring his nephew, and the two of them would control me like curfew. They would control the words I would speak, the way I think. I didn't like the person I became when I was with them, which is similar to when I would spend time with Oscar. See, Oscar is Russian, and 5 minutes with him, my head would start rushing and crashing, and sometimes I feel like I'm rushing and crashing. I just want to rush, crash, and burn. And if you haven't clocked on already, my 7 friends, Rosie, Rosé, Mali, Malibu, Henny, Hennessy, Jack Daniels, Ray and Nephew, Captain Morgan, and Oscar is vodka. See, I felt as though my human friends failed me, so I found friendship in bottles. And that was the beginning of my downfall, because I would spend time with them every nightfall to help me fall asleep. I have 7 friends that I see 7 days of the week. And each time I spend with them, my mind gets more weak, and I know I am weak. I am weak and in need of help. I know I should speak. I know I need therapy, but I hide. Instead, I hide beneath my covers, and my pillows are heavy, full of tears that I shed every night. And I wish that someone would just listen to me. I wish someone would just see me. Friends, I know my mental health is at its peak. I know I should open my mouth and speak. I know I shouldn't hold it all in. Speak. Speak to more humans. Speak to more people. Speak to less bottles. Friends.
I heard a few people go, ooh, wow, so far for the poets that we've had. I'd like to welcome up the first 3 poets that we've had, because often we don't hear poets speak. So I wanted to ask them a question. And so can we welcome up Nick Ted, Adrian Mackenzie, and Diary of a Poet? So you have such different poetic voices, and it's so amazing to hear you all perform. I was just wondering, what do you think your role is as a poet, or what is the role of a poet? That's my question.
The role of a poet.
Yeah. What's your role?
For me, it's spreading words, because I love words. When I grew up, when I was at school, I was terribly dyslexic, and I thought words and English was a problem. But the more I grew and the more I got to love words, they just open up, they just flower for you. And then when you start writing poetry, you can just spread the love and spread the words. That's my job as a poet.
Gorgeous.
For me, the role of a poet is to hold up a mirror to what's going on, show the world the detail and shine a light through it, ignite fervour in the environment or the people within it.
I would say the role of a poet is to just be yourself. I think there's so much beauty in vulnerability, in individualism, and I think we're just to be ourselves, and we relate to others, inspire others, start those conversations by simply being us.
Oh, fantastic. Let's give a huge round of applause for these first 3 poets, because we've got 3 more poets to welcome up. So next up in our poetry party, we're going to welcome up Gracie B. Gracie B, I'm going to say it again so you remember that name. So Gracie B is a performance poet, a storyteller, an events host and facilitator who uses her poetry to inspire, enlighten and entertain. Sometimes using her distinctive Jamaican patois, Her poems promise to be sweet as honey and refreshing to the soul. Let's welcome up Gracie.
Hi, everybody. Y'all feeling good today? Good. I saw y'all jamming out to some Bob Marley earlier, so I'm going to be doing a poem, actually, called Susie's Dilemma in Bob Marley songs. And I'd like for you to try and guess how many songs I have referenced, and I'll give Gabrielle the prize to give whoever gets it right. So here we go. So the sun is shining. The weather is sweet. 3 little birds sat by her doorstep and tweet. Susie is single, and she ponders to herself, could you be loved? And on that thought she dwelled. She needed someone to satisfy her soul. Just one love, not multiple guys on her iPhone. She said to herself, I don't want to wait in vain. Being single is a blessing, but sometimes a pain. Single ladies in the house, let me see. Oh, look at you. All right. Guys, take note. She wanted someone to sing, say, and do. I want to love you and treat you right. Someone to make her soul catch a fire and stir it up would be her delight. She didn't want one of them midnight ravers who was out all night long, who was always partying and jamming to every dancehall song. She needed a man who could get up, stand up. Let me hear the guys. Uh-huh. All right. A decent guy, clean mind, not a schmuck. Not one of those who at the first sign of a problem, ready to run away and call it a exodus. She didn't want one of those whose main focus was only to turn the lights down low, but someone who could give her a mental, emotional, and spiritual glow. Not a Mr. Chatterbox who would always be fussing and fighting, but one who could quickly resolve her issues. Next day she's smiling. She wasn't one of those girls to be treated like a puppet on a string. She was independent and liked to do her own thing. Susie didn't want to hear her friends have to say, no woman, no cry, 'cause he broke her heart one sad, sad day. She didn't want to have a reason to compose her own redemption song. Susie said, I don't want no more trouble, or I'm better move along. She was searching for a man with a positive vibration to show her sweet love and affection. To share, everybody join in. One love, one heart. So let's get together and feel all right. Well done. 1 cent from above. In the future, she wanted someone to make her ponder. Join in. Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Love that I'm feeling. Thank you.
I will be giving that prize to anyone who could tell me how many Bob Marley references. And I'm actually quite impressed how many of you could sing along to that. Well done to you, audience, in our live audience. And well done to you at home as well. So we're now going to welcome up GKT. She is an organizer, vocalizer, and storyteller who's been crafting constructive chaos in Stoke since 1996. GKT uses spoken word, movement, and poems to breathe life into stories, and sometimes those are about Stoke-on-Trent. Let's welcome GKT.
Hello. This one's called Imposter. You look over your left shoulder to check who's watching your next move. You're still seeking approval in your every pursuit. You fake it until your fate hits. Now that could mean flaking out or making it. as if I knew it had happened, like it slapped me in the face and said, "Good girl, you've done just fine." I don't know who I'd like to see teeth-wide grin back at me to confirm that my insides baked make a cake worthy to feast. And I've invited you all to dine at my table, with a spread big enough to keep any and all fed who dare to try a bite. I overstate to make a point, because to be different is to be seen. So I go chasing down the next fantasy to free it from its dream. I take idea to action, step back and watch it unfold. And I make it look easy. But the truth, to be told, it's hard. Opening up every inch of me and decanting it for you. This is my candy shop of horrors, and I'm racing up to find the roof to jump off. Will there, I find, my body reacts with enough time to break back, to bring through a wingspan worthy of Pegasus's spine. Until then, I'm winging it on an overused parachute pierced by the plight of performers past, caught in cringe's climb. You look back, this time over your right shoulder, to see who's been checking your every move. You realise all this time, it's only ever been you. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. So the next poet I want to introduce you to our poetry party is Rob Roy Gregory. And Rob Roy Gregory is a versatile artist who uses a variety of disciplines to convey messages and musings. His spoken word performances are highly expressive and emotive in order to effectively communicate the multi-layered nature of his work. Let's welcome up Rob Roy!
Once upon a time, in S.O.T., a crackhead begging for change outside of Sainsbury's. I keep my head low, pretending that I didn't see, fumble with my phone, but pray that he gets back on his feet. 43p, I occasionally give him help. 43p, it's not much, but it's all I've got. Hell, 43 pence. And every single one says, God bless. Is that just a gimmick, or do you always find faith living death? 43p, I mean, who decides the cost of our needs? How will living for it affect chasing our dreams? 44p, we wait and then pay for more stories. Every little helps you work to pay for it. But what is more important? Begging for what is needed or your pride, so ignore it. Pleading for a lifestyle more fortunate? Nah, you're rewarded for chances taken. It's not by forcing it. I think that is why they are so nice. They realize that there is more to life. Losing, but they're not running. Conclusion, just don't approach grown folks' car, we all been slumming. Standing ground on land that is worth nothing. But our fight is worth something. You can't keep the change, but we can save you from it, because we're all just a face with names and dates on it. You can't keep the change, but we can save you from it, because we're all just a face with names and dates on it. Thank you.
Amazing. So I want to invite those three poets up, Gracie B, GKT, and Rob Roy Gregory, to ask them a little question. You can give them a clap, you know. So I'm really interested in what's inspired your work and what is inspiring your work now?
I mean, that is a very wide question of what inspires your work. just breathing, living inspires my life. Like, so it depends on how you define inspire. It depends on what you define as work. But I think just in general, to sum it up, for me, it's just thought. I haven't created anything without thinking about it. So, for example, in the poem I just said, it started from just the thought of every time I give a homeless person or someone who is asking me for some change, they always say something along the lines of, God bless. And then I'm like, are they all religious? Do you just become religious when you are living this lifestyle? Like, what is that? And then I was just thinking, and then a line came, and then more lines came, but they all is because of thinking about it. If that just happened, and then I didn't think, and I just went about my day, I wouldn't have that poem now, and I wouldn't be here to do it. So I think just thinking. And then now, to answer the second part, is I do lots of different artistic things, and I'm trying to combine them all into, well, figure out ways of combining them all. So that's inspiring me now.
Nice. So for me, I mean, normally I'd answer this question on the basis of who's in the room. My dad's here, so obviously my dad inspires me, also my boyfriend. But this one happens to be being live streamed, so I could open a can of worms here and have to list off everyone I know. It is that, though. It's the people I know, it's the places I go to, it is life itself. And the poem I just performed is about creative block and not trusting yourself and trusting your instincts to perform. And I think it's that reminder to step out, try it, experience life itself.
I'm inspired to write by life. I try to be a very versatile poet, so I don't have a specific genre. So I could be writing about faith, I could be writing about something in the news, could be writing about relationships, inspirational thoughts. It's basically whatever is in that moment, or sometimes I'm commissioned to write about a specific topic, like environmental topics or cultural things. So I'm inspired by what life brings me, what people are going through, what is happening, and sometimes I'm motivated by what I'm challenged to write about.
So what's going to happen now is we're going to invite our 6 poets to perform another poem. And we're going to start by having Diary of a Poet, and then we'll have Adrian Mackenzie, and we'll have Nick Degg, and then after that we'll have these fantastic poets come back up and perform another poem. I'm not going to be much talking in between, so you're just going to have to... thank you. But yeah, you're just going to have to listen into it. Okay, I'll come in halfway then, for you. So can we welcome up Diary of a Poet?
So this one is entitled Self-Love. Yeah, I hope you feel a little bit encouraged by it. It's a bit more lighthearted than my other poem. I've been learning about myself, learning what I like. I prioritize my mental health, yeah. I've been doing what I please, live my life in ease, seeking mental peace, yeah. I don't watch nobody else, my priority is me. I live my life so free, yeah. Self-love. Let go. Let go of all those bad habits that have you in a chokehold, holding you back from flying free from your cocoon. We assume it's life combined with other people and pressures of life that hold us back, when in fact, sometimes it is self. We doubt self in moments we should flourish. We starve ourselves in moments we should nourish. Imposter syndrome. I tell me that I cannot achieve my deepest desires. creating conspiracy theories in our heads that we cannot do what we want to do and that we are not worthy to be in certain spaces and rooms. These are the lies that we consume. That little negative voice in your head. Listen to the still positive voice in your heart instead. The one telling you it's okay to not be okay. Telling you to be brave. Telling you to be confident, to be safe. Safe to be you. You are perfect just as you, even with the imperfections. You are perfect because you are you, and you are enough. It's time to look within and give self some love. Spend time with you, learn more of you, love more of you. So let go, grow, and glow. Learn about yourself. Learn what you like. Prioritize your mental health. Do what you please. Live your life with ease and seek mental peace. Don't watch nobody else. Your priority is you, so live your life in truth. Give yourself love. Thank you.
Living in a world of perjury. No amount of surgery can unburden me. Walked in so many shoes, it's guess who when I'm soul searching. I've been framed as a street urchin that made Oliver twist. They champion the Commonwealth at my expense. Just pretend that I never fought in any wars. They marry perception to stay divorced from my cause. I'm just a boy. Now a man, born into a dad's army, now wearing his name, shame and scars. I don't stand behind bars just to stand behind bars or to ask what you're drinking. Some bars, you can't see them. Daily, it feels like a battle for my freedom. I got so many masks, Jim Carrey wants to star in my sequels. I wish I never had a reason to need them. I feel like a gas within my own skin, fed up of being seen as a man. Now, on a plate of gammon, I'm a well-done steak. By now, in your minds, you think I've been talking about some days the world closes in around me. I chase after my breaths like a 5-year-old with bubbles on a breezy afternoon. I am deaf to the beat of my heart. The sun orbits the earth before I come around to my plight. I am at war with shadows. 1,000 reflections inject me with the suggestion that I am cursed. Peace is a stranger that refuses to converse. I silence the alarm despite being raised by a nurse. Maybe anxiety is what I deserve, but you can say Wakanda forever, but never speak on mental weather. For someone like me, must stay cool and flash leather. Someone like me must dance in an avalanche of poison like arrows. Someone like me must freeze hell and just man up. The second rule of being black. Stay fly, conceal your hang-ups. Now, such and such that worships rappers and Kardashians tells me I'm not black enough. I don't walk like her, talk like her, my vibe isn't, my swag isn't. I'm not supposed to speak with slang or any patois. You say you don't see color, but somehow appreciate my art. But someone like me should always wave and laugh. Why must I have the coolest hats, walks, and faces? Is it because I'm supposed to know where my place is? But knowing history, I fight for the best of the present to live in. I've been through so many tests, I'm the very definition of revision, even though staying alive is hard, because some systems stifle and suffocate your existence. Thank you.
Hello again. Now, I tend to do as many music nights as I do poetry nights because I used to be in bands when I was younger, and I feel just as comfortable in a music environment as I do a poetry environment. But sometimes when you're introduced as being a poet, when you're supporting or you're with a band, you see the audience rolling their eyes because they're thinking, half an hour of poetry? No. So what I tend to do is try to get the music crowd on side by doing this poem. And it's kind of a song. It's set out like a song. It's very rhythmic, but it's about being a poet and not being a musician. But sometimes I like to play with the audience, and I do the poem about not being a musician on my guitar, which really plays with their heads. But I'll just do it a cappella today because I haven't got my guitar with me. So this is I Ain't No Music Man. I ain't got a drum kit, I ain't got a bass, I ain't got a Marshall because I ain't got the space. Ain't got a Hammond, I ain't got a Vox, I ain't got no pedals, I ain't got no rocks. Don't need bar chords, don't need a B, augmented seventh, and I don't need an E. Don't need reverb, don't need echo, don't need feedback, I don't need a techo. Poem's got a middle eight. I don't need a tour bus, I don't need a van, don't need a gaffer, and I don't need a man. Don't need the drugs, man, don't need the speed, I don't need the white stuff, don't need the weed. I just want a nice crowd, a couple of beers, 4 dozen heads and 8 dozen ears. Cheers. Thank you.
That clap going if you are enjoying the diversity of voices we have here in Staffordshire. Aren't they amazing? Amazing. So, as you know what's going to happen, but I'm coming up specially for you here. We are going to welcome back our 3 other poets to do a second poem, and we're going to have them in this order. We're going to have Rob Roy Gregory first, then we're going to have GKT, and we're going to finish up with Gracie B. I hope you're enjoying this poetry party. Cheer if you are. That's what I like to hear. So, keep that clap going for Rob Roy Gregory.
Good morning. What time is it where you at? It's 2-day, and who's to say we should fall back? Nah, not with that. It's time to get away. I've been needing a little break from feeding off of hate, succeeding in breathing, but wait. In a life that is fake, just leave that behind. One of these days I'ma leave that behind. One of these days, just leave that behind. One of these days, I'ma leave that behind. One of these days, I'ma take you abroad. One of these days, we'll take each other on tour, smiling in ways that we couldn't before, whiling out days but laughing for sure. Carefree ocean breeze, when the waves crash, they applaud. When your eyes flash, I'm in awe. See the horizon in my soul and know that you're what I work hard for. All work, no play. Nah, come, let's get away and leave that behind. One of these days, I'ma leave that behind. One of these days, just leave that behind. One of these days, I'ma take you abroad. I know life seems hard right now, but believe we're stardom bound. Girl, dreaming like a father a while, cause he rests on the 7th, so we're blessed with the present of recharging sound. Safe, see you later, I'm off to bed. We've earned this escape. Freedom is in my head. 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 Freedom is in my... You said Bali, right? Where the water barely in sight, crystal clear. Well, alright, let's get packing. Let's lock down and tap in. Catch a vibe with the right one. That is precious. Remember that he rested on the 7th. He wants to reward our efforts. In this war, he takes us to heaven. He takes us abroad. I'ma leave that behind. One of these days, I'ma leave that behind. One of these days, so leave that behind. One of these days. Thank you.
It takes 2 to tango. Watch how that goes. Sidle over softly, twisting in handhold. Nails lacerate to accelerate the rate of beating heart. We've peaked at the start of something fresh, but not new. No. I knew you before we burnt out blue and more. Now I'm not sure if this is something we should do. As it turns out, neither are you. You tell me, you are welcome in, but please be aware, it's not currently a place of thought or of prayer. This is the battlefield of love and of pain, where both battle lines scream a certain name. In response, I raise my shield. In camouflage, I sabotage any realness of we. You then ask for my discretion. Is this a test or is this a lesson? Well, secrecy is not known to me, so to separate's what we agree. Until glares lock mid-dance floor. Yup, it's all happened before, and before too long it is our song, and the tango's calling us once more. We treat it like a game of Tetris. Let's see how this fits, flexing friskier, riskier moves till we slip discs and the build-up persists. Tied wrists, wide hips, locked lips. Where do we go from this? Thanks.
So the poem that I'm going to read is called Breathe In and Breathe Out. And I'd love if you guys could take part when I say breathe in and breathe out. And what inspired this poem is during the pandemic, I remember we weren't allowed to go out, and I remember liking the fact that I could go out, and like if I saw something or saw someone, it inspired me to write. And I called my publisher and I was like, I can't go out. If I do go out, I'm stuck with this mask and I hate it, and I just can't wait for this pandemic to be finished. And he said, go in your back garden, get inspiration there, and write a poem. So that's what I did. So when I say breathe in, if everybody could just breathe in and breathe out. Slowly breathe in and out. In and out. Imagine the earth after the rain. Smell the pure air on that terrain. Whether you're outside or sitting by your window pane, slowly breathe in and out. In and out. Take in that gentle breeze or soft wind. Let it pass through your hair or over your skin. Hold your head high, lift up your chin, and slowly breathe in and out. Then in and out. Stop to take a moment in the eye of the storm. Let all your negative worries be transformed. Let all emotions and thoughts be calmed as you slowly breathe in and out. In and out. Appreciate nature's offerings all on display. Flowers blooming. Look at the trees as they sway. Birds, butterflies, bees, all merrily on their way as you breathe in and out. In and out. Think of all the things to be grateful for today. Things that we take for granted each and every single day. Try to think of someone special. Someone special. Your mom. Someone special in your life? Your son. Someone special? Your daughter. Try to think of someone special. what would one say? Pause pondering. Start listening to the sounds that only nature makes. What lessons could we learn from it or take? Learn from the plants, the trees, the insects, even the little bees. What lessons or impressions on our hearts could they leave? And in that moment, be ever so quiet and ever so still. Calm those racing thoughts from the mind's treadmill. The hustle and bustle of human life seems to have us all going uphill. So appreciate nature touching your senses is a hobby to instill as we slowly breathe in and out, in and out. Finding this time daily will be beneficial, no doubt. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I hope you'll be really enjoying these very diverse poetic voices from Staffordshire. What we're going to do now is I'm going to invite all 6 poets up and we're going to give them a huge clap. So, they could just come up. Nick Deck, Adrian Mackenzie, Gracie B, GKT, Rob Roy Gregory, and Diary of a Poet. Keep the applause going. So now the main part of our poetry party is over, the performance bit. I want to invite you all at home and here to the after party. Say yeah! You're all invited. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them a question that I'm interested in finding out, but then you here have the opportunity to ask any individual poets or maybe a few poets any questions that you would like to ask in our poetry party after party. So I'm really interested in poetry stories, your poetry stories, and why you started writing.
Well, going back to 97, I used to write a football magazine for many years, and then it finished. And then 3 years, I got a real creative hiatus, and I thought I need to be doing something again. So I did a creative writing class at college in the evenings. And when we started doing about poetry, that was it. Poetry was for me. And I started performing in 2015, and I haven't looked back since. Poetry is the way forward.
I didn't want to be a poet. I actually wanted to be a songwriter with my own record label. I used to write little bits of raps. My parents hated rap music, and when I started doing it, I couldn't stay on beat to save my life. So it was just a way to express myself, and I found spoken word and poetry was the best tool for what I had to say.
So I actually started off wanting to do children's stories because I was working in libraries and theater, and people would come up and say, "Can you sign the book?" And I'll be like, "It's not really my book, I'm just reading it." So I decided that I'm going to go on a WEA course to learn how to write children's stories. And while I was there, the tutor, Simon Fletcher, he challenged me to write poetry. And when I started writing poetry, he's like, "It's actually good. You should come and perform at City Voices. And if you're good, then we'll book you for something else." And that's how I started. I went to read one of my poems, and the audience found it favorable, and I've been doing poetry since.
So the inspiration for my name, Diary of a Poet, I used to just write thoughts in my diary, feelings, and that would then become poems. So I started writing from when I was in primary school, and over time I started, I guess, performing my poems, still with that same thought base of, Diary of a Poet, where I'm just saying how I feel, talking about my thoughts and feelings, but this time the audience is my diary, and I'm speaking to you. So yeah, that's how I started. It's from journaling, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know. I've always thought things, and then sometimes I noted them down, and then I thought, oh, that helps me remember those things, and sometimes I went back to them and I was like, oh, that was an interesting thought I had. I should keep writing them down. And then here we are.
So, Gabby, when introducing me, you said creative chaos since '96. It's actually just the chaos since '96. That's the year I was born, and my parents tried to find as many ways as possible to keep the chaos, somewhat constructive. So I had lots of writing, arts, creativity around me growing up. So I think I've always done it. And then I stepped into a performance space through rap, drum and bass nights, and until someone said, I actually can't hear a word you're saying. It's a bit fast. Can you slow down? So I ditched the backing track, and here we go today.
So, have we got any questions for any of our fantastic poets here? I'm going to run around and, yeah. Any questions for our poets? And tell us if there's any particular poet you wanted to ask, or if it's just all of them.
All of them. How long did it take you to write the poem?
Specifically, the poems tonight, it's a really difficult question to answer, because I might write a poem and it's taken a matter of minutes because it's come to me. But it doesn't stop when you finish writing it, and you keep coming back to it and perfecting it. So the answer can be anywhere between, let's be real, 10 minutes to several years.
I think for me, because everything that I express is just a thought, it's essentially, so the thoughts are impacted by however my brain is wired, and however my brain is wired is DNA, but also my lived experience. So say if I wrote that poem when I was 24 years old, it took me 24 years to write, because it took 24 years of development to understand what I think about the situation.
I'm in agreement. It depends on what the subject matter is. For example, with the first poem I did, Friends, when I first wrote it, it was just a very straightforward piece on alcoholism. And then actually, over time, I reflected on it a bit more, and I then developed it into Friends. So I guess it just depends on what you're writing about, what the inspiration is at that time. But yeah, depends.
Well, the Bob Marley song, I saw a CD on my dresser, and I just listened to the whole of it. So it's probably around an hour or so long. And by the end of it, I was like, okay, I can write the poem now. For the other poem, it was probably around half an hour just sitting in the garden looking around at the trees and the birds and the bees. But most times when I'm writing a poem, I like to challenge myself to write a poem quickly, because sometimes that's part of my job, where I'd have to listen to what the audience is saying and then write a poem and read it back to them. So when I'm writing poems, I do challenge myself to write quickly. So I wish I had longer, but I think it's good to practice writing quickly, because that's part of my roles.
For me, the poem I did first, that was 15 minutes. I was literally flicking through Facebook, and it came about within a couple of seconds on a Saturday morning. But the other one, it took days, because I wrote it. It was 2/3 longer than you heard today. And then I performed it. It came back. I had to mine it for gold to bring it to something that I loved. So it can take a wide variety of time, depending on the topic, because it can be quite layered.
It's interesting what you said there, Adrian, how something can be longer, because I can write something that's 7 or 8 stanzas, and then I'll chip away and chip away and chip away until it's just 3 or 4, because I want it to be concise. I want it to just contain the bare bones which is going to come across. So in time scale, really anything from 2 minutes up to, same as GK, 2 years, some of them. You know, they're just sitting there on the phone, part written, and then you just keep going back to them. And when the time's right, never rush it. Never rush trying to write. Just wait until the time, and you're in the right frame of mind to get them finished.
Oh, we've got another question. Fantastic. This is a good after party, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm guessing that you're all thirsty for other poets, and you read other people's stuff, and it triggers something in you. So that's the poetry that's written down. But are there musical artists' lyrics that you read, particular music artists' lyrics that you read that can inspire you in the same way as a traditional spoken word poetry book?
Yeah, it's a great question. For me, I find Simon and Garfunkel really beautiful lyrics, and Guy Garvey as well. My daughter got me into Elbow, and he's absolutely wonderful as a wordsmith. So maybe those two are most important for me.
Oh, that deserves, look, the chair over there.
I'd say that I'm more inspired by musicians than I am poets and spoken word artists. I was inspired by Kurt Franklin, a famous gospel artist, and the poetic rappers such as Lupe Fiasco or Nas or J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, even down to Getz, who's a grime MC, and various other genres as well, but more so than the poets.
I'm inspired by certain musics, Bob Marley, as you can guess, yes. But yeah, whichever song in the moment you'll feel it in your heart, and a line might catch you, and then that turns into a poem. So it depends on what you're listening to in the moment.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with what's been said. A lot of hip hop music, I think, to be a good hip-hop artist, you need a lot of punchlines, which are like metaphors and similes. So it's really interesting when you listen to rap music. But also love songs. I find love songs very metaphorical and descriptive, particularly like Dermot Kennedy. If you actually break down or if you look at his lyrics, they're very poetic in how he describes love. And yeah, I find that really inspiring.
Again, it's difficult because I look at it from such a broad perception. I don't like being so specific. So I'll try and say something that is influenced how I think from an early age. And I was influenced by a band called The Flaming Lips. And some of their albums, such as Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. It has lots of, of course, it has various songs in that album that are philosophical, I suppose, and hearing them from an early age has opened my mind and pointed me in the direction of some ways that my brain thinks and is wired now. So I would say, yeah, them. Yeah, The Flaming Lips.
Yeah, not too much to add other than yes, I probably get more inspiration from music than I do other poets, to be honest, but yeah.
Fascinating. I think we've got probably time for one more question, and maybe directly to a poet.
I've directed to Dario. Yeah, your poem was about drinks, and I was wondering that it sounds musical. Have you ever been tearful writing poems that you thought yourself there and then or thereafter?
Great question. Yes, I have. I feel it more in my chest when I'm writing it. I feel I've got pieces that I've very vulnerable, and I speak about very personal experiences. And in the moment, I feel it, but I think it's when I actually perform those pieces, and it's those conversations I have afterwards when someone says, you know what, I went through a similar thing, that then the tears come and we have a moment, or I go back home and I'm proud that I spoke about it. But I think, it is an emotional experience to be able to write those really personal feelings, more so to then perform them.
I think we're getting towards the end of our poetry party. Oh, sorry, excuse you. I'm joking. To the end of our poetry after party. So we have quite a few little people to thank. We want to thank Stanley, who did the music. Stanley, if you want to stand up. We want to thank Stoke Creates for helping putting this on. The Honeybox Live team, all the tech behind. We want to thank our fantastic poets. And of course, we want to thank all of you at home for watching, and all of you here as well. For those of you in the building, the party continues. We'll have some music, we have some cake, we have some drinks as well. So thank you so much for logging in, those people who are watching at home, and thank you to all of you.